Pro. I am your host, Quaōcha. Thanks for joining. VP Media Pro podcast takes a holistic approach to encouraging and educating aspiring entrepreneurs on the life cycle of business ownership. Listeners will hear open discussions from business experts and community leaders on different business success topics that range from leadership trends, business planning, work-life balance, money, marketing, mindset, and so much more. Today's episode is the Dark Side of Entrepreneurship. I have the pleasure of introducing a savvy lifestyle and management therapist, published author, and multifaceted entrepreneur who spent almost a decade in the therapeutic industry. Our guest is the founder and owner of the Toolage Group and is the wellness coach for the SkillUp Entrepreneurial Program within the Village Project. I want to welcome to VP Media Pro therapist and coach Anita Ham. Hey, Anita, how are you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. I am well. How about yourself?
I am doing pretty good. I am so excited to have you here today. I think the topic for today's discussion is well needed, and I'm just really excited to have you here, VP Media Pro.
Listen, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on your platforms, but to be on this one is definitely, especially a joyous occasion. And look, I'm excited for this conversation because it's such a needed conversation. It was a conversation that I wish I had, before starting my entrepreneurial journey.
Likewise. And you know what? And that's part of the reason why, I just felt it was necessary to have you here because there's this conversation that we don't have. We don't really talk about the dark side of entrepreneurship. So I'm so looking forward to you sharing your perspective on the dark side of entrepreneurship and also the upside of it as well. Starting off, can you tell us a little bit more about your background? Like, what sparked your interest to go into therapy?
Okay, so, well, honestly, it's who I was as a child. I was this helper. I was this caring person. My mom sent me a picture about a year or two ago that I had written in elementary school, and I drew a helping professional. I had a nurse up there, and I was like, if only I could help someone. And when I looked at this, I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, okay, so I was destined for this track. But really what sparked me into going back to social work is my original career is in respiratory therapy. So I found myself at the bedside needing to coach and assist patients with moving forward in their treatment, in their care, in whatever process that we had to go through in order to get that patient to where they needed to be. I didn't realize the mindset adjustments, the education, all the other things that were needed before I could even provide therapy treatment to a patient. I needed to give them so much education. I needed to help them psychologically understand what it was. And then it was a feeling that they had to have to say, you know what? I'm okay with this. I'm okay with doing whatever surgery that's coming up. Like, it was such a process. So I found myself at the bedside answering a lot of questions, being supportive, helping my patients on a level that went extended beyond, the call of duty, but it was so necessary. And I found myself really enjoying it, being inspired at their liberation in different areas. And more importantly, valuing their time and support and them valuing my time and support. I'm like, okay. So after about, I would say 2 or 3 years in a profession, I went back and tried to figure out, okay, what does this look like for me? What does that career path look like for me? And it ended up being social work. So I'm actually a licensed clinical social worker. So that's where my therapy background comes from. And so that's it in a nutshell. Like, my patients needing that additional support, education sparked me my interest in social work and realizing that you could help the whole patient with this degree. And I was like, this is it. This is the one for me.
Yes. So now you have, placed what you've learned, placed your background to a business called the Toolage Group. Is that right?
That is right. That is right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the Toolage Group. What, tell us something about your services and things like that.
Okay, so the Tutelage Group is a consulting firm for behavioral health providers. So meaning I help behavioral health providers develop their course of treatment for their patients, and it's not even necessarily patients, but their clients, their constituents, their staff, everyone they work with. I love education. And what I found over time is that most people need to understand it on their level. And so we can give these basic trainings, whether it be in services. You ever had an in service or a training that it's like, I understand it, but I don't quite get this part or that part. So if I developed the tools group for those tailored training and education solutions for behavioral health, meaning those with mental health conditions, those with agency that they needed community and communication. So meaning supporting that educational process throughout an agency, which is necessary when we're communicating patients' level of care, patients, insurance information. There's a level of education and understanding that's needed to best support that patient, supporting the whole patient. And it's critical to how we document it. So I actually found the need as I was working, I guess a year or two after grad school. I was like, man, there's such a gap because behavioral health, the profession was increasing. Mm-hmm. And there were just not enough people to do the education part. Like they were doing education, but they had to do 5 other tasks because the need was so great. There are so many patients out here and just individuals needing services and support that I found that most organizations just had people kind of in this rat race of performing 2 to 3 jobs. And there becomes a breakdown. There becomes a breakdown in understanding that person's level of understanding. People would just give this one blanket training and not knowing that you have to go back. You have to sit with them because in order to provide that adequate service, they have to understand what they're providing. They have to understand themselves, how they provide it, and based on the agency standard. So it was just another level of understanding that was needed. And that's where I came in to fill that gap.
Yeah. So what type of education do you mean when you said mental health education? What type of education?
Oh, it's psychoeducation. And psychoeducation is just simply explaining a diagnosis, explaining those triggers, explaining the different factors that are present and that come with it, the treatment methods, the treatment measures, but also how to uniquely assist that client through a process. And then in the state of Virginia, of course, we are governed by DBHDS for those accredited behavioral health agencies. And so making sure that we understand policy and procedure too, in order to effectively provide that service. So there are many facets to the education, but even the interagency communication, how to provide adequate supervision to pre-licensed individuals. So that's somebody who's in school for social work or an LPC, and they need these fundamental trainings with an organization to just learn all the different diagnoses and other just needed skills to be successful and prevent burnout in the profession. So those are the things that I train on, but they're all tailored. Each organization has different needs. It could be policy analysis, it could be policy development. So all of our trainings are tailored to meet the unique need, but we do have a few standard ones that we just do continuously.
Awesome. Speaking of burnouts and fatigue, I know the normal, recommendation for living a healthy life seems to be simple. You need to eat well, exercise, like engage in, regular physical activity, get proper rest and proper care. But we all know, especially as entrepreneurs, that that's not really easy to do. It's easier said than done. Anyway, we have a career that needs us. Our customers needs us. So we're constantly busy. Then some of us are, our parents too, as well. So we're maintaining that balance, juggling the balance. So we're super stressed, and like you mentioned, burned out. And so this is all as you're nodding, so I'm sure you've heard it before, like I have. So it's an all common story that we tell ourselves to do over and over again to maintain work-life balance. But we tend to often make excuses on why we can't reach our goals and achieve well-being. So can you talk more about that? Because it sounds like to me someone who is going through the burnouts and fatigue, they're going to need a wellness coach. Can you further explain the reason why it's important for entrepreneurs to align themselves with the wellness coach?
Listen, so the first thing I would like to just say that managing our life is really about feeling and lifestyle management, feeling the disruptions and creating the necessary change. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say. A wellness coach really just helps you to understand your life holistically, meaning all the domains of wellness, which go down to career, which go down to your physical health, mental health, family health. It goes down to occupational, spiritual. So as you go through each life area, you get to learn about how am I functioning in this area? Do I have enough energy to enjoy and play with my family? Do I have enough mental clarity to complete all the daily tasks that I need to do? Have I had my spiritual or meditation practices implemented so that I have increased like maybe peace or hope or mental clarity to start my day? And a lot of times we're so busy that we don't have the time to actually sit down, process, and figure out what steps I need to take next. So when it comes to a wellness coach in business, it's really looking at the whole you. A lot of times we go into business thinking I only need my business mindset, but guess what? Your diet plays a part. Your sleep and rest plays a part. Every part of you goes into business. So guess what? Every part of you needs a plan for success. And that's really what I'm here to do, is help individuals create those plans of success for their holistic. And that means for the whole you. So for the holistic you. And that's something that as an entrepreneur, we're not always taught. We don't always understand. And then we're seeing entrepreneurs who are in the hospital. I had one coworker just going into the hospital continuously and not really recognizing all of the signs. So it's helping you develop that awareness into those different areas so that you can set your game plan for success.
Yes, and so you mentioned slowing down last year, especially during the pandemic, we had to put everything to a halt and slow down, and slow down to for lifestyle management. During that time, was behavioral health at a rise? Did you see an increase of people who needed assistance with their overall well-being and mental health?
Yes. So it has been steadily increasing over the years, but there was a significant spike during the pandemic because a lot of people, number one, we don't recognize the disorder, and we don't recognize things that are happening to us, but we feel them. We feel them intensely. We feel them, so much so that it causes us not to want to go to work. It causes us to want to sleep longer, which is, those depression things, or the overwhelming anxiety, which is our constant repetitive thoughts about a future event, or the stress. And that stress is just our response to some type of stimulus. It could be a physical stimulus. It could be increased workload on you. So that's a mental. It's our response to all of these different things. And so when we talk about mental health, we all have our wellness, our mental wellness to look after, right? And these are all normal responses. But when we come into the disorders, it really happens by the lack of investment and time of not only making the change, but understanding it and then resolving it. And that could be through therapy. It could be through going to your PCP. It could be medication. It could be so many other options. But there was a spike, and the sad part is most of us don't recognize it. And that's what causes us to stay in those dark places.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just reading on social media, and it says depression isn't always dark rooms and crying endlessly. Sometimes it's getting up, going to work, and smiling and laughing all day, then coming home to sit quietly, doing little to nothing until it's time to go to bed. How can someone actually recognize? Because you talk about feeling, and as I was reading the comments, people were saying, "Oh my goodness, that's actually what I'm going through." And I had no idea. I felt this way, but I had no idea that this was what this was called. How can they recognize and actually put a name to it?
So really, and let me say this, a brief period of depression, meaning a few days, says, you know what, it allows us to reflect. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it can be beneficial to say, whoa, I am really at a place where I'm a little sad today.
Mm.
Or I'm a little down today, or I'm down this week, meaning I don't have the energy to complete the task. I don't have the feeling like I don't want to do anything, right? So it's
Mhm.
really going into learning to recognize those things, recognizing your mood. So one of the best things I tell people is use a tracker. Kind of just look over a few days period, and it can extend to 30 days. How was my mood today? How did I feel? Just really, how did I feel? And then going into, are you getting to that place where I don't really want to engage socially? So you are, let me go to work and I just need to get home. I don't want to deal with people. I don't really want to do anything. I just want to, sit down and relax, stare at the wall, or just get under my covers, right? And so when we start to experience those things for a prolonged period of time, meaning, okay, it's been 7 days, it's been 14 days, it's been 30 days, that I just don't want to do the things that I normally do, or I don't want to see my family and friends. Like I love them, I care about them, but I don't have that energy to reply. I don't have the energy to answer their call because it's going to take something from me that I don't have. So looking at fatigue, fatigue is another big one. It's just that excessive tiredness. And then having the kind of that brain fog. I am just my job. I know my job. I know how to do it, but it's hard for me to complete this task. It's hard for me to send this email because I can't, my thoughts are so all over the place that I can't even construct it clearly. Recognizing those types of signs that, hey, something's off. And sometimes people may be stuck in this survive mode. So guess what? They've been here for a while. So they've been feeling low for a while, meaning months, 3, 6, 9 months, even a year, and really having that understanding that I may need to go and seek some supportive assistance somewhere else because I haven't been able to get out of this pattern for a long time. So I may need some help.
Yeah. And speaking of emails, answering emails, that can actually be have a person feel anxiety, just by emails. I've actually sat down with the solopreneur and they were mentioning, like, hey, I just have so much going on at once. And just the thought of answering an email just gives me so much anxiety. And which, that's the common conversation that I have amongst entrepreneurs or small business owners. Which leads to my next question for you. About 72% of entrepreneurs are affected by mental health illness, and 32% experience two or more mental illness conditions. Why don't we, know about this, or this is not a topic that many explore in the open? Why do you think that is?
I would say it's generally two things. Number one, we don't recognize it. So we're not understanding that anything is even wrong. And then number two, I don't want to openly admit that I'm struggling in these areas.
Mm.
And so that's really hard. It's number one, hard to be honest with yourself that I'm not functioning at the level that I think I should. That's hard enough to overcome, right? But then being able to openly come to someone, it could be a business colleague, it could be a mentor, it could be a coach, it could be a friend, it could be a therapist, to say, I am not feeling okay in this way. Or I've been drinking more lately.
Mm.
I've started a substance habit that I've never had. I don't know. And so I don't know what's going on, but I know I don't feel right. That's a very common statement that we say to ourselves, like, I don't know what's off, but I just don't feel 100%.
Mhm.
And so being able to openly admit that, you have to have trusted individuals, but more importantly, you have to invest in yourself. And you have to make that investment to get some support, to get some help. And that can be a struggle too. That's the part that depression tells us that, hey, you're alone, you're by yourself, you're worthless. It comes with all these negative thoughts. And then the repetitiveness of all of it comes to the future oriented thing, which is the anxiety. So it's really this big cycle if you don't get the support you need to come out of it. And some people can do it individually. They just keep working their plan, working their habit. But most people need that additional support to really move them forward in life and mental wellness. So I would definitely say it's those two things. Number one, we don't recognize it, and they can be unrecognizable sometimes, because some people, I'm still traveling, I'm still going to work, I'm still doing these things, but there's these underlying things that are there. And then number two is just simply, we lack that ability to be open and honest with others and being able to really trust others with those things. And sometimes we don't have that community, we don't have that support. So you're looking elsewhere. So developing the resources is another big part. We just don't have the resources as well.
We share this common, I guess, personality trait. And
Mhm.
so, what kind of resources for someone who's just starting out, or even if they've been managing that business for quite some time and they really need some more information, how can they find it?
And are you just saying mental health resources, or are you saying just resources for overall well being? Because coaching is for people who don't really have a psychological impairment. So, or the disorder, they're already diagnosed. You may need a therapist, right? But then you have coaches who have these supportive tools and programs that can help you move forward if you're having maybe one or two stressors, something less severe, less serious. You can utilize a coach. So that's another important thing to recognize. When do you need a medical provider? When do you need a licensed therapist? When do you need a coach or a mentor?
Mhm.
Because all of them are beneficial and they all help us in different ways. Now, the benefit of a therapist is most therapists can serve as a coach as well. So if you need the high intensity psychological, psychoeducation type support, that's there. But then if it's something less severe where it's maybe you need some habit change tools and you need that accountability, you need those other resources to help you move forward, they can transition into that coaching mode. And then sometimes you may just have a coach who they're helping you through. And then guess what? If you need a high level of care, they can refer you to those coaches. And then I always say you need to have, an updated PCP. You need to have your physician who can help you navigate maybe the medical changes that you may be experiencing that may present themselves as a psychological disorder like depression or anxiety, but it may be medically related or a medication concern, because a lot of medication side effects, the number one side effect is depression. And you're like, wow, so this thing that helps me in one area can really be, affecting me and impacting me somewhat negatively in another area as well. So with that, I would say, make sure that you're utilizing your resources and finding them. Like you said, Google, what we underestimate the power of Google. Google is where you can locate different providers in your area. So you can just simply Google licensed therapists or mental health therapists in, Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. You can Google different things, but for mental health, I would say NAMI, NAMI is a great resource and tool. Specifically because it'll link you to the different resources that you need, but it'll help you get some of the education that you need as well. And
Absolutely.
and then if you're looking for other providers, I know one now is BetterHelp. And the one in Psychology Today, man, they give you the rundown of who the provider is, where they're located, all of their specialties. You get their picture. A lot of times you can call these people ahead of time to see, is this a good fit? Even initially, you're going to have to go through the process to determine if that person is a good fit for you long term. But at least Psychology Today gives you that picture of who the person is, what they bring to the table, what is their experience and expertise in your area of need, but then also maybe helping you get that assessment, because a lot of us haven't been assessed for a disorder before, and you may need that supportive psychological assessment as well. And what else? There are just so many. You always want to have all of your suicide prevention resources as well, because that's another thing for entrepreneurs. I don't know if you saw recently, but the owner of Texas Roadhouse actually committed suicide due to COVID related symptoms. So
Wow.
okay, I don't know about you, but I love them biscuits over at Texas Roadhouse. So somebody created and produced this big thing. And I'm just saying, for me, I'm like, this was a good place. I haven't been there a long time, but I remember the specific things about that specific business that were so good. So we have all of these people who are on the outside saying, man, you're so great. Your business is so great. But guess what? He wasn't doing great. He wasn't feeling great. And so we have to learn to understand it and learn to recognize it in others as well, so that you can get those continued supports and treatment. And sometimes it is a supportive friend being there with you. Sometimes it is a supportive colleague being there with you. It is being able to share those heavy emotional burdens and weights that are burdening you down. And then sometimes it may be medication. Sometimes it may be therapy. It's all the different things. It's not one fell swoop and you're going to be, cured or helped. It's the ongoing consistency of the treatment that is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for those resources because, speaking of entrepreneurs and just small business owners in general, whenever now I'm in conversation with an entrepreneur or a small business owner and they're doing really well, I'm like, congratulations on your success. However, how are you doing personally? Let's talk about you personally because a lot of times we tend to separate business from personal, but to me, they all in the same thing because how you are in personal is going to carry over into your business life. And, entrepreneurs are looked at to be problem solvers, visionary, and this energizing bunny. However, you know, there's a cost to being an entrepreneur. There's a cost to being a small business owner. Um, and part of that is sleep. We have to
Mm.
sacrifice our sleep in the pursuit of success. So many entrepreneurs have developed the unhealthy mantra, no sleep, in their pursuit to success. What are your thoughts on this?
Listen, team no sleep is a no-go for me. It's a no. It's a no. If you subscribe to team no sleep, you can expect fatigue, you can expect burnout, you can expect a decreased quality of life in business. So it's not something that people should strive to achieve or do. Because a restful mind is a more creative mind. It's a more productive body. And it's like a well-oiled machine. When I get rest, let me tell you, I am 10 times more productive, and have that mental clarity I need to energize me throughout my day. When we're not rested, we don't have that, and you're going off your artificial energy, and that is your energy drinks, your caffeine, your coffee, your different things, and that's how addiction and habits form because we don't have what we need, within us. So then I got to go and come and go outside of me and get it. So if we really could get the focus and the mindset of healing what's within me and working with that, starting from there. And then sometimes we may need a little caffeine to help us with the clarity or, different things, but not allowing it to become that habit forming addiction. It makes a difference. So sleep is necessary for all entrepreneurs and just individuals, period.
Wow, just the way you broke that down, something so simple, something so small like that can turn into an unhealthy addiction. Wow, that's wow. Is work-life balance possible for entrepreneurs and small business owners?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just like I said earlier, it's really about the equilibrium. So having that awareness of where I am in all these different areas of my life and in my business. And then guess what? Where do I want to go from here? So I kind of look at it as this is in my 5 points. So it's plan, prepare, then you're going to plan, prepare, pursue, then you're going to evaluate and you're going to repeat. So it's this constant and consistent reevaluation that we need to make necessary change. The hardest part is making change because change requires us to have a mindset change and then a habit change. And where we struggle in the habit. The mindset is generally easier for people, but let me tell you, that physical change of not doing something or doing something differently and new, it takes time. And also, it's the most unwanted thing, to be honest. I'm just going to be so honest. That's the part we don't want to do is making that physical change because we're just in our groove. We're in that habit, in that habit/happy place, right? But in order to move your business forward or your life forward, you got to say, I embrace the change. I have this open mindset towards the change. And if I want to see the improvements in these different areas of my life, I have to be willing to make change in whatever area that's necessary.
I agree. Definitely, old habits are truly
Mm.
challenge to break. So, what are your top lifestyle management tips for someone who is looking to achieve work-life balance?
Oh man, dream. So sit down first, start dreaming. Most people, we don't even have time to dream. We're so busy, we don't have time to see our life differently. So I would say sit down and
Mm.
create a plan and say, you know what, I want to achieve these next, 3 to 10 things in the next, it could be 30, 60, 90 days or whatever the time frame that you have set for yourself. Take the time to say, this is what I want to achieve. Okay. And then write down what are the little steps that I need to get there. And as you're creating those steps, you'll get to see where your habits look, where they lie and where they last. So meaning where they actually are and where they're actually false and faulty. Like, I don't have enough time. I don't have the support or the resources. I am not equipped in this area, right? And then you say, all I need to do is get this book. Or all I need to do is consult with my friend or my colleague who I know specializes in this area, right? So we need more education, more understanding. So it's setting that plan, right? And then identifying those necessary supports that you need to get there. So it could be any type of technological tools you need. It could be the physical, or it could be the mindset change that you need, and then just start pursuing it. When we say lifestyle management, it's really finding the equilibrium in all areas of life. And then it's more, and it's a lot of mind management. So you have to manage your thoughts because it's our thoughts, actions, feelings, and then responses to different things. And so we're constantly needing to evaluate where we are. And that's another big part, is that we don't want to often continue to analyze where we are or where we aren't, because guess what? That then can cause us depressed feelings or just make us feel low because it's like, I'm not there yet. And so really breaking out of that cycle of those limiting beliefs, me evaluating where I am is to help me move forward. But if I don't do it, I'm going to kind of stay stuck in this current pattern of burnout or, fatigue in any way. So it's really starting that plan to say, this is what I want to achieve. This is how I want to get there. These are the tools, the resources, and the people I need to move forward. Then I'm going to reevaluate. And guess what? Then I'm going to repeat the cycle, because next time I should be able to do it in a more well-equipped fashion in order to achieve that goal. And this happens with everything. We kind of a lot of times want to separate the different factors. If I want to help my family in choosing a more healthy lifestyle, what do I have to do? I have to make those lifestyle changes and habits. I have to be the person who demonstrates those things. So being that example, meaning, okay, I'm going to bring healthy food into the house, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the same thing, if I want that healthy business, what do I have to do? I have to bring those healthy options to the business. I can't sit up here and say, I'm not communicating with staff, or I'm not going to send any emails, or I'm not going to do those necessary things to move it forward. So it's getting aware, meaning getting in the know of where your issues, concerns, or stressors, challenges, whatever word you want to use, anything that causes your responsiveness to be inaction, for you to do something or to stop doing something. Get in the know of where you are, where you want to be, and how you want to move forward, and start locating the necessary resources in order to help you achieve that.
Oh man, sounds like you need vision. So once you have vision over your life, you'll be even more intentional in your own personal and professional development. So it starts with having that vision.
Yes. So vision and investment. That's what it is. Vision and investment equals success, but it requires both. And so that means I have to invest in every area of my life. I can't just invest in one and then expect the other one to grow and be fruitful and produce what I wanted to produce. I have to invest in each area of me. And so that's what wellness is investing in every area of you. And wellness is a comma, not a period. You don't ever arrive. You keep just improving. Oh, I've learned to do this for me, so now I can work on this part. So it's this thing to keep adding to, not something that you arrive at.
Absolutely, especially as being that business is cyclical and the economy is always changing. Your family is always changing. How you were building your business in year one is different than year five or year 10. That's the goal to reach anyway. And so I love what you just said. It's not a comma. I'm sorry, it is a comma, not a period, which means that you're going to have to do your daily affirmations. You're going to have to do your daily maintenance of thyself. I,
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Speaking of, you talked about mindset a few moments ago. Please talk to us about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset.
Okay. And so I was start by just saying what they're rooted in. Growth mindset is rooted really in willingness and the ability to learn and a desire to grow, right? The limited mindset is just fixed on the past. It's very fixed in the nature that is limited in moving forward because they're just their experiences of life, their experiences of the past have said, I know all that I need to know. This is all I need to know to move forward, and we're running with that, right? So it hinders us from actually moving forward. That growth mindset just says, you know what, I'm rooted in awareness so that I can develop that willingness and mindset to grow and go to higher heights. And it really is something that most of us aren't aware of.
Mhm.
You're in the limited mindset, and there are some areas of us that we realize that, oh my goodness, I never change, or I never do this one thing differently, right? And not knowing or realizing that there's always another way to do it. There's always another way to do everything that we do, right? However, you have to find what's best for you and what's best for the way you want to move forward. So that growth mindset is just really that limited mindset. I mean, not the fixed mindset is very limiting, and your growth mindset is just the abundance happens because you're allowing all these opportunities to come, and you're embracing the change, the newness. So it's an embracing of new opportunities.
I love the explanation of the growth versus fixed mindset because that's really important to the development of yourself as well as your business. Are there any affirmations that you have that you encourage others to say who are looking to, you know, um, improve in our overall wellness?
Wow, that is a really good question because you have your personal ones. Other affirmations are for individuals to use because they have to be unique to you. What you can't do is go off someone else's affirmation and then realize you don't have the strength or the power to fulfill. So I would say, look at you. What are the things that you are passionate about? You can say, I'm a creator, I'm a writer, I'm a business builder, I'm a business advancer. I am, uh, the the millionaire or billionaire that my family will see. I'm going to achieve the legacy I want. So your affirmation has to be unique to you. We can say basic ones, I'm intelligent, I'm smart, I'm unique, I am different on purpose. Those are things that are necessary. So looking at your value system, and this is for people who, whatever you value, whatever is important, whatever you deem important to move your life and your legacy forward, those are the things that you need to affirm within you. But all of us need to affirm that we are valued. Our value doesn't come from people. It's simply from who we are, how we were created, period.
Right.
Your value cannot be determined by another human being. So those affirmations are necessary. I'm qualified, I'm equipped to do everything that I'm called to do. And those are just your personal ones to develop. So looking at your value system, develop some from there. That are things that you want to affirm within you to move forward in the way that you desire to grow.
I love it. So, why are affirmations really important to the overall well-being?
Because affirmations really help to ground us in our sense of identity and being. Because the world can tell us so many different things. And we can get so caught up looking at the lives of others and saying, oh man, I'm this age now, or I'm at this stage of my business and I'm not just there yet in comparison to such and such. But, your affirmation says, my timing, my progress, my pursuit, right? But in those other mindsets, meaning the comparison mindset, they come to dismantle our identity. So you need to affirm yourself so that you know who you are, you know, what you're rooted in, what your value system is, what your process and your progress looks like, because it's not supposed to look like anybody else. It's not supposed to feel like anybody else. It's your own unique experience. And you really want to get grounded in you.
That's really, 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 really important to understand. Especially since we're in business, we have social media. Do you have any recommendations, as far as social media goes? Because sometimes, we find ourselves looking online and comparing someone's chapter 30 to our chapter 1, and it looks as if they have it together, they have the following, they have the lifestyle that we desire to have. But I also find out that social media doesn't always highlight the reality of what is actually going on. So do you have any would you like to share your perspective on social media comparison and wellness?
Unfortunately, it does have a big impact on individuals. This is something that, we've been studying in our profession for years now, and just seeing how the psychological impairment numbers have increased due to social media, because there are big comparisons. And I would really want to start by saying, learn to value your vision, meaning your uniqueness, your everything you bring to the table, because guess what? Your uniqueness is your strength. It's that thing that no one else can ever give, can provide, can be, can do. They can never do you. And the effects of social media, they can be harmful for the simple fact that it leads to those overwhelming and repetitive thoughts that say, I'm not worthy enough. I'm not there. I'm not, at this place in my business or in my life. So I must be a failure. It comes to this full circle cycle that says, that goes back to negative belief, which then goes into anxiety, which then anxiety says, I got to do this, do this, do this, do this, do 50 million activities for my business that aren't even aligning with my mission and vision, then causing me burnout. Then I'm depressed, so that's the cycle that people don't realize. And so the equilibrium is necessary for you to understand that. Guess what? Just going back to lifestyle management, I have to manage my whole life. So social media, they're only showing me this part. In order for me to manage my whole life, guess what? I have to understand what this means to me and what it doesn't mean. So I would say get rooted in your truth, and just what you bring and your value. And sometimes it's difficult because guess what? I can't see me. I can't see my greatness a lot of times. So we're kind of sometimes dependent on others to do that, because our genius zone, so our gift, meaning the thing we do innately. This is my opinion. My gift is teaching. Now, I did not go to school to be a teacher. That is not my background, but guess what? I'm naturally a teacher, an educator, an observer, a supporter, this person who can identify the unique needs of others very quickly and feel that need in business and in life. That's innate, right? So your gift equals your genius zone. When we are in our genius, guess what? We don't really see it. So that leads us to feel like I can't see my greatness, so it's hard to operate in it. And it's hard for me to see it and view myself as that. But I can see this other person. I can see their greatness. I can physically see all of these things. So that's what's leading me to value them more than I value me. And I value who I am. And I value what I bring to the table. And so I would say really coming back full circle, getting rooted in you. Take time to note the things that people say you do well, or that you assist them with very well when it comes to maybe business or even in personal life. They can say, man, you're a great organizer, or just you're a great entrepreneur. I love how you connect people. I love how you do this. I'm like, wow, I'm making an impact. So it starts with that true sense of self, and then those supportive statements from others, statements and comments and community support from others saying, wow, we value you. We value what you bring to the table. We value your mindset, your wisdom. And so it's a process. It's a journey. Comparisons are really unfair, and they seek to keep us in the past versus moving forward. So I would tell people to think about it like that. Comparisons are rooted in something that says, I'm not there. So when you think about it like that, how are you affirming yourself if you say, I'm not there? And so therefore I'm not good enough. And I'm sorry, I just realized I said a whole lot about that because it's so much to unpack and people don't realize it because it goes from one thought, one post, one like to all these internal conversations and dialogue that we consistently have, which then lead to the deeper disorders and things. So
no, this was something that, that needed to be talked about, that needed to be heard because it is so common. It is so common, but it's not a conversation that many want to talk about. Social media is a platform that can be used to market, brand, and advertise a business. However, I just say look at it as such, but a lot of times it can be very tempting to see someone else successful, especially if you've been in business and you've been doing it for a while, and you see someone that just came in it and they just seem like they're winning, and then you start to doubt yourself. You start to self-doubt your worth. You start to, like you mentioned, have anxiety, have depression, and start to be stressed out, and then you start to self-sabotage. And so, no, this was needed, Anita.
and it really just honestly goes back to having that healthy mindset and having that healthy equilibrium in your mind in order to see it for what it is. This can be a marketing tool. This is a way for me to connect with friends, family, and other things. This is a way to grow my mindset versus limiting me and saying that I'm not good enough. So it takes that mindset adjustment to see it for what it is, but to understand the difference in you and what you see. So it can be a lot and it can be distressing and destructive if not understood appropriately, assessed appropriately, and then just, utilized appropriately.
Absolutely. So I understand milestones. Milestones in business helps me to keep track of my mission and vision. And milestones also help me to celebrate not only the big victories, but also the smaller ones as well. Do you think that someone should have personal milestones too, just so that they can keep themselves into check of how far they've actually came as far as personal development?
Absolutely. It's so easy to get beyond yesterday and to not recognize the success of today. Like it is so easy to to fail to look back and realize, oh my goodness, look how far I've come in a year. Look how far I've come in the past 10 years. And we don't go back and do those assessment checks to really reevaluate and to recognize our accomplishments. We can clap sometimes for other people faster than we would clap and just really support and encourage ourselves. But it's really needed and necessary to look at those milestones and to look back. What did I accomplish last year? What did I accomplish 2 years ago? What did personal development had and have I become aware of since then? Because we're learning, happens every day in different ways. So you're really going back and assessing all of your learning moments, those moments that have changed and transformed your life. So it's absolutely necessary. And it also helps us to kind of stay in that positive mindset for moving forward as well.
Yes, absolutely. When it comes to business, we have a business plan, we have a strategic plan so that we can outline, our goals and objectives for the year or, for the quarter, for the month, whatever. And we can actually take a look at that. We can monitor that. But when it comes to our personal life, as you mentioned, we neglect that a lot of times. And one of the ways that I've been able to keep tabs of my progress as far as personal development, my overall well-being is, by setting up 7-day goals, weekly goals for myself. And so that I can maintain work-life balance. And I can look and I can say, wow, this is what I've been able to accomplish over the last 7 days as far as, myself personally. I incorporated outside of business. I went to skate land, I had a good time at Skateland, and working out, getting up at a certain time of the day, making sure that I do something outside of business that I enjoy doing. And I was like, wow, so just adding that in, like you mentioned, sparked my creativity. I felt refreshed. I felt energized. I felt focused. My concentration was just on a whole another level. And one of the tools that I currently use is journaling. I write in my gratitude journal. That has been something that has helped me as well to put into perspective of where I am. As you talked about comparison, is having that gratitude journal. And literally every day I get up. I do not look at my cell phone because it's so easy, right? It's so crazy how we just condition ourselves to get up, look at our cell phone and just look at social media and go to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. That's the first thing that we do when we get out of bed. I'm like, oh my God, that is a bad habit. So the first thing that I do is like, you know what? It's time to just be grateful because you knocked it out yesterday. You did something, you're moving forward in your own well-being. And so write 5 things that you are grateful for. Can gratitude be added as far as the overall wellness? Your overall wellness plan.
Absolutely. Being grateful for your uniqueness, for who you are, grateful for others supportive, community assistance, whether it be people, resources, tool. Gratitude just really helps us to ground ourselves not only in a growth mindset, but to think beyond ourselves. So it's really, really important to incorporate gratitude to just support your positive and mental well-being, as we've been talking about. And as you just stated, you see the difference. It helps you to slow down in the morning. It helps you to care for yourself first. It helps you to, put down some of those distractions. It's really important. And it has, different benefits to every person, but they're all benefits to utilizing gratitude. And the study shows that the research shows that it's all there. It's useful and it will help you move in the direction that you desire to.
Yes. And so as we are coming to a close in VP Media Pro, for those of you who are listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I have the therapist and coach Anita Ham, who's talking about the dark side of entrepreneurship. And so a few more questions for you, Anita, is can you explain your role in the SkillUp Entrepreneurial Program?
Listen, I have to say one thing. I do not like the dark side of entrepreneurship. I would just say the other side of entrepreneurship. I don't know. It just feels so cringe-worthy. I do not like it. But there is that other side, that side that we have to address in order to really perform all those tasks in business as needed. But I guess I'm gonna have to stick with it since it is the title and all that good stuff. But tis life. I don't know. I just cringe every time I hear it. I don't know why though.
Well, I only mention it because I think it's important that people know that the struggle is real when it comes to building a business. Like we see all the time the successes, but we don't really see what that person had to do to become where they are. So, but we will say the other side of entrepreneurship. Absolutely.
And so my role as a wellness coach within the SkillUp Entrepreneurial Program is really creating your wellness plan your way. So when individuals come to work with me, it's like we want every part of you to thrive in the program. However, I really want to change that knob from survive mode to thrive mode. And we're really tailoring what that looks like for each individual. But we are going to assess every area of your life, and we're going to create your own unique game plan for moving forward. But it will require accountability. It's going to require investment. It's going to require honesty, in truth in moving forward, in order for us to help you, myself to really help you in the wellness part, but then you helping yourself to achieve those necessary goals. And another important thing is that it's going to be a mindset and habit reset. So be prepared for change and just understand that disruption comes before change. So it will disrupt your current lifestyle patterns so that we can change it and move it forward in the direction that you really want to grow in. And I stress that part, the direction you want to grow in. As when I say that I'm a therapist, oh my gosh, people just automatically assume you're analyzing me, you're going to do this. And no, coaching is about what you're going to do. And I'm here to support you. So I want you to understand that, get it in your mind that if you want support, if you want accountability, if you want real change, then this might be for you if you want to see it in your business and in your lifestyle. Yeah, that's my role. That's my part.
Yes, I'm really excited to collaborate with you, Anita, as far as a wellness coach for the SkillUp Entrepreneurial Program. Guys, if you are definitely ready for change within yourself, if you're ready to grow and develop alongside the growth and development of your business, absolutely go to the website at www.villageproject.net to apply for the SkillUp Entrepreneurial Program. And before we go ahead, just let us close with how do you maintain work-life balance? And so outside of therapy, what are some awesome things that you enjoy doing?
Listen, I am getting grounded in nature. One thing that helps me with creativity, with productivity, with just managing all my mental mess is really getting grounded and rooted in that. So I'm walking, I'm exercising, I am eating, well. Sometimes in entrepreneurship, I can just get so focused on one thing and I'm like, oh, I didn't eat. So I have to utilize meal prepping. I have to use all of these things that help me have the clarity and reduce that restrictiveness in my mind or body so that I can move forward in a healthy, well-balanced manner. So yeah, I'm excited. I love the beach. The beach is definitely one of my go-tos. Sun, scenery, any scenic view place. And I love to do some little nature photography. Like it's so unique to me. I love nature. So that's what I do when I am outside of therapy on top of enjoying friends and family.
Absolutely. I enjoy nature as well. It's just something about the peace, the calmness of nature is just soothing. And it just helps with the overall alignment too, as what, as far as myself, I just feel so aligned. And after one of the, one of my favorite things to do is to go by the river. I'm not sure if you guys know, but Richmond has some awesome parks and rivers, and I'm always there too. So I agree. Nature is definitely awesome. An awesome place to go. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Anita, for your time and guiding us to improving our mental well-being. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. I'm sure those who've listened learned so much. I know I did. Be sure to like and follow the Village Project on social media. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Connect with us on those social media platforms to catch a recap of today's episode as well. Leave a comment and let us know your takeaway from today's episode, the dark side, or should I say the other side of entrepreneurship. Also subscribe to the emailing list at www.villageproject.net to receive notifications on when new episodes post and more. Again, thank you all for listening. Thank you so much, Anita. And as always, grind hard for self-care harder.